What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. Last week's Raw saw a shocking betrayal by Ric Flair as he helped Randy Orton destroy Christian. Now, Flair is ready to anoint Orton as the greatest wrestler ever during a special Championship Monday edition of Raw that features not one, not two, but 3 championship matches. Join us now as Wrestlelamia analyzes Raw and looks at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. This includes more fallout from the Speaking Out movement, Impact cutting ties with certain wrestlers, AEW suspends Sammy Guevara, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. As always, we won't recap each match of Raw, but just look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good is number 1, hyping the show. The WWE did a great job previewing tonight's Championship Monday, and it wasn't in the usual tired ways, normally a 20-minute monologue or announcers mentioning the matches throughout the night. Instead, the WWE ran an engaging hype video letting fans know tonight's show is gonna be big. Number 2, a surprise return. Now, unless you haven't been keeping up with our videos, many fans knew that Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode were coming to Raw. However, Ziggler's return was a good way to start the show as he surprised WWE Champion Drew McIntyre, reminding Drew that he helped him during his low points in the WWE. While McIntyre dismissed Ziggler's claim that he was owed a title shot, he agreed to the match, showing he's a fighting champion. Number 3, the Rated R Superstar is back. At the risk of using a cliche, Randy Orton has awoken a monster. Edge's promos on Raw have been fantastic, but last night's fiery vow to exact revenge on Randy Orton was his greatest yet, with Edge telling Orton he was going to do whatever it takes to get revenge and absolutely destroy him, so much that even Orton's kids would know something happened to him. Edge's remark that Orton would wish Cowboy Bob Orton had been firing blanks on the night Randy was conceived would have normally drawn laughs, but the look on Edge's face showed that this was no laughing matter. Shooting Edge's promo with him sitting in a dimly lit ring enhanced the mood, and another reminder that cinematic presentations, whether they're in matches or promos, can be highly beneficial to the program. Number 4, flipping the promo switch. The powerful promos were flying tonight, and for some, it might seem like the WWE flipped the promo switch on, with great promos flowing like sweet water. However, a closer look reveals the majority of good promos came from veterans, superstars like Randy Orton, Edge, Nature Boy Ric Flair, and surprisingly The Big Show. Now don't get us wrong, it wasn't all veterans, as Drew McIntyre's promos are good and they're getting better every week. But don't think that the entire roster has suddenly improved. But as for Orton, he's in another league of his own. Nobody can touch Randall in the WWE right now. As far as a top superstar, it's like he's an amalgamation of his very best in the WWE, a legend killer in the ring, and a viper on the microphone. Number 5, a sweet swerve. It looked like the WWE was finally going to pull the trigger on the Banks vs Bayley feud when Sasha she wanted a women's championship. However, the WWE pulled off a great swerve by having the Boss challenge Raw Women's Champion Asuka. It was a great way for Asuka to get a fresh opponent and a good way to hold off on Banks vs Bayley until SummerSlam. Number 6, brutal babyfaces. Now, way too often babyfaces are portrayed as soft or stupid, but that wasn't the case last night when Rey Mysterio and his son Dominic got their hands on Seth Rollins. With the Monday Night Messiah looking to sacrifice either Rey or Dominic, things looked bleak when Rollins' disciples Murphy and Theory showed up, but Aleister Black and Humberto Carrillo have a long memory and were ready to help Rey by going after Rollins' flunkies. Once Rey and Dominic were able to grab Rollins, they almost exacted an eye for an eye, showing that the Mysterio family are certainly no pushovers. It was strong booking and a great way to end the show. Number 7, the return of Crash TV. Like a breakneck pace of storyline segments, promos and matches, other than commercial breaks of course, then you probably liked last night's Raw, which didn't give fans a moment to catch their breath. Whether it was Nia Jax interrupting R-Truth's 24/7 title defense, Bobby Lashley interrupting R-Truth's second attempt at the 24/7 title defense, Akira Tozawa winning the 24/7 title, or any of the many segments on Raw, longtime fans couldn't help but think they were back in the days of Crash TV during the Attitude Era. Of course, this doesn't mean that we're back in the Attitude Era at all, but they at least deserve credit for featuring a large number of superstars on the Red brand rather than 20-minute matches between Akira Tozawa and Apollo Crews. But that was the good. What about the bad as number 1, a weak contender? Although it's too early to tell if Dolph Ziggler will actually challenge Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship at Extreme Rules, they are making a serious mistake booking him against McIntyre, much as they did when they threw Ziggler into a program against then WWE Champion Kofi Kingston, despite Ziggler's status as a long-time mid-card act. Even if the WWE pushes Ziggler between now and Extreme Rules, who's going to take him seriously as a legitimate contender? Number 2, an unpleasant reminder. Now, the WWE needs to stop reminding fans of bad storylines. As good as the opening hype video was for Raw, a hype video for the Viking Raiders versus the Street Profits was highly unnecessary. The various competitions between the two teams have rarely been funny, except maybe to Vince McMahon, and the video should have focused on the best part of the friendly rivalry in the ring. The only thing that's noteworthy of this is that Montez Ford is carrying the Raw Tag Team division. The guy has great accolades to become a huge superstar in the WWE. He's got the look, the charisma, and the athleticism. Now that the WWE Raw Tag Team division is a complete joke, we wouldn't mind seeing him in singles action. Number 3, well, it's a big letdown. Now, can someone tell me what year it is again? Are they really building to a match between Big Show and Randy Orton? A match that we had 7 years ago on this very same pay-per-view? Come on, WWE, let Orton face new talent and help them get over, instead of recycling old feuds. Pretty obvious that Vince is still in the mode of featuring veteran talent in one program. Veterans should be putting over new talent, not getting into old feuds. And lastly, live another day. What has WWE done with the return of Liv Morgan? There was so much potential of bringing her back and having her stand out on the red brand, but instead they have a tap out to Natalya last night. As soon as she returned, she was on fire, building up a good win streak, but now she's just been used as cannon fodder. We hope WWE can rectify and build Liv Morgan up into a top star, as she has the capability of being one. Now, there was no downright ugly of last night's show. Last night's show was another strong episode, and while it's arguable WWE went a bit too far with the Crash TV segments, it's only week 2 of the latest revamp on Raw, and we are certainly willing to give the WWE more time to fine-tune its production, especially if the red brand continues to entertain. Now, the show had some questionable moments, including another hint the Iconics are going their separate ways, Lana managing Natalya. What on earth Lana can do for Natalya is anyone's guess. And a hint too much MVP, but it was certainly a strong episode. But that was the good, the bad, and the downright ugly of Raw. Let's move on to the news. Now, our first story looks at an update on Sammy Guevara, and he's been suspended by AEW for his remarks. As noted in our earlier news video, Sammy Guevara's horrific remarks towards Sasha Banks from a few years back came to light with the SpeakOut movement going strong. Now, at least to his credit, Sammy Guevara gave an apology. He noted that it was a very idiotic and insensitive comment. He even tweeted to Sasha Banks an apology as well directly. Now Sasha Banks did actually respond to him. She issued the following statement. Earlier I spoke with Sammy. He apologized and we had an open discussion. Wells like the comments he made, jokingly or not, have absolutely no place in our society. I don't condone or tolerate this kind of behavior. What one thinks is just a side comment can have a massive impact on someone else's life and can send the wrong message. We have to hold ourselves accountable for our actions and the words we say, and I hope this situation shows that. I hope from this point on, in order for growth and change within our community to take place, we can all continue to have these conversations. No person, man, woman, or child should ever be subjected to a feeling of fear or unsafe environment. We all have to do better, not just for ourselves, but for generations to come. A great statement by the boss, and clearly a good role model. However, apology or not, AEW took steps and took action, suspending Guevara indefinitely, and according to a statement it released, AEW insists on doing our part to create a world of understanding and respect for humankind. We therefore strongly condemn the extremely offensive and hurtful words of Sammy Guevara. As such, effectively immediately, Sammy is suspended without pay until further notice. Sammy has agreed to undergo extensive sensitivity training, and upon his completion, his future status with the company will be re-evaluated. During his suspension, his salary will be donated to the Women's Center of Jacksonville. Now, do we think this decision is right? Absolutely. The comments were insensitive, and it doesn't matter whether it was 4, 5, or even 20 years ago. There's no kind of need for that comment at all, whether it was said jokingly or not. We commend AEW for taking the right steps. I certainly don't believe in firing Sammy Guevara, but suspension and training and withhold of his pay is the right thing to do. Now, for those who are wondering what will happen to Guevara, scheduled to wrestle Matt Hardy on Dynamite, AEW has announced that the Inner Circle Santana will battle Hardy instead. What did you guys think of Sammy Guevara's apology and Sasha Banks' response, as well as AEW taking the necessary action? Let us know in the comments down below. But unfortunately, more #SpeakOut accusations. As the SpeakOut movement continues to accuse individuals in the wrestling industry of misconduct, the list of wrestlers' names continue to grow. Here are some of the wrestlers whose names have come up since our last news video. Austin Aries is one of the latest wrestlers being accused, and further people have come out to speak against Joey Ryan. Another wrestler who has also been accused is Marty Scurll. Furthermore, another witness has come forward supporting the allegations against Matt Riddle. We'll let you know of any further updates. As far as firings go, Impact Wrestling has confirmed that it has terminated its contract with Dave Christ and Joey Ryan effective immediately. In addition, it has suspended Michael Elgin pending further review of allegations of misconduct. And finally, WWE Backstage Cancelled? Now it looks as if FS1's WWE Backstage is done. PW Insider's Mike Johnson has reported today, Fox held a meeting several hours ago to inform everyone working on WWE Backstage that the series was done in its current format for now. There will not be a new episode tomorrow. They had announced Bayley for an episode. A rerun of an older episode is most likely. Amongst those who worked on the series, the belief is that the show is completely done beyond the outside chance that it could be used for special programming down the line. There is no game plan for such a thing currently, but things are being left open with the idea that FS1 could do more if they choose to do so. Pro Wrestling Sheet's Ryan Satin, who also worked as a correspondent on WWE Backstage, thanked everyone for the opportunity to work on WWE Backstage. Now, Backstage has suffered from ratings that can only be described as consistently awful. While there have been occasional glimmers of hope, some fans were surprised the show lasted this long. While it may return, it would seem unlikely. But there you have it guys, the good, the bad and the downright ugly from the 22nd June episode of Raw, as well as the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.